Welcome back, everyone. Today's just going to be me. It's a late one, but the quarterfinals just finished for the World Cup, so I wanted to get a review or go through the games that just happened over the last week, as well as give my insights on what I think may or may not happen for the semifinals. So it's going to be a shorter than usual show today. If anybody tunes in, thank you. Otherwise, it will just be me talking to myself, which is always okay. Always okay. So let's get started. And I'll go chronologically with the first game. There was like four in total. No big surprises here. I think like France came in as favorite and won the game convincingly. I think with regards to the game itself, Morocco was underwhelming. Um, when you go up against a team like France, especially with the quality they have, there's only so much you can do. So it's not like I was expecting Morocco to even go toe to toe, but at least make use of what they've been doing so far this tournament, which is good defensive organization and then good transitions for counterattack, especially when they were sitting back in parts of games. That was not the case. I think there was tactical issues, there was personnel issues. It didn't go as planned. Um, like in they only had four shots in total. I think like that's what I see right now. France at 20. Um, in a quarterfinal of the World Cup, that's just not good enough, right? And then if you give France enough chances with the quality they have up front, they're going to score. I think it was pretty evident when I look at the lineup here. Um, uh, Obviously, no striker because their main forward Saibari was injured. Their next options, I wasn't even too sure who exactly was playing up front, whether it was El Canus or Brahim Diaz. It was kind of fluid, partially because of the defensive formation they set up, and then the other one is in transition. They just were not organized, right? So France, even though Morocco had more ball possession only goes so far, especially with Morocco. They're not good creating chances while in possession. It's been a trend for a lot of teams, but especially Morocco. And unless it's Hakimi coming down the right and exploring the flanks or cutting in deep, um, they couldn't produce anything, right? And on the other side, France had like I would say the perfect game because statistically they didn't have more ball possession, but when they did have possession, they created far more opportunities than Morocco did. Um, the highlight, of course, Mbappe. Obviously, I think like uh, if there was questions or if Mbappe was one of the best World Cup players of all times, today was or in this particular game was just another reason. He missed the penalty. It was a poorly take penalties. The whole stutter parada thing leading up to penalties is really annoying me. Players think that they're capable of whether it's deceiving the goalie, but I think they just end up deceiving themselves. It's not for everyone. The goalie is always at a disadvantage in penalties. Um, so more often than not, statistically, three quarters of the penalties go through, if not more. Um, if you ever watch any practice from professional teams, you'll see they'll probably bag 99 out of 100 penalties. So at the end of the day, it comes down to psychological effort from the forward and whether you want to complicate things. And Mbappe being one of the best players right now on earth, especially a World Cup, still misses a penalty. But having said that, he still had a good game and then pulled up a magnificent shot for France's first goal in the second half. And then Dembele with individual quality to bury his chance. So I won't speak more on this. Disappointed by Morocco. Bono saved as much as he could. He was great. Boadi, in my opinion, one of the best revelations in this World Cup. Like showed a lot of maturity. There's lack of supporting cast in this game. It didn't get in the far, but I was very, very impressed with the individual quality, especially coming from an 18-year-old. So we'll talk more about France when we touch on the upcoming semifinal. But those are my thoughts. Again, it's quality, and I'm going to be repeating the same term for all four games. It always comes down to quality. We can talk about systems and formations and all this like new era of football and all the science behind it. But at the world stage, push comes to shove, quality always wins. Unless you have a perfect system, a perfect setup, you have all your players in there, injuries not a concern, then maybe you can overcome that. But if those things start to fall quickly, quality wins you games. And France just has that quality, just full stop. So, speaking of quality, another game where Spain, yet again, I don't remember seeing Spain lose control of this game. Like, yes, Belgium did come and tie up the game before halftime, which was an important time to get that equalizer. Very good build up. But throughout the entire game, I didn't see Spain buckle. Every time they have the ball, like they're slow in their build up, but eventually they get into the final third. It's just about commitment. It's about final execution and those last passes to be a little bit more decisive. But if they ever lost the ball, I don't see teams exploiting via the counterattack because Spain always have at least one additional player to cover spots that were missed out or that were left empty by players that are assisting with the forward progression. Right. Um, the first goal, great build up from Yamal and Porto on the right. Good cross. Smart presence in the box in this case by Fabian Ruiz to get the rebound. Um, Not a classy goal per se, but when we talk about the build-up and the positioning of players, it was well constructed, and I think that's what the Spanish team is capable of. They've been doing it all tournaments. I think they've been getting better and better, right? So I'm looking at some of the stats. They completely dominated Belgium with far more expected goals. Few chances though, like only two big chances, like that resulted likely in the two goals. But they've the law of averages. As soon as you create enough influx and you take enough shots, eventually some of those are going to go in, unless the goalkeeper has the game of his life, right? So um, poor defending, I think, for Belgium's goal. It was the first goal that Spain conceded this tournament, which I think credit to Belgium. I think it was well built. Like as soon as they recovered the ball, they were able to move the ball vertically, pretty fast, especially down the right. They didn't necessarily cross it right away. They took their sweet time to bring it back before they made the cross. And the Belgian forward, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Ketelari, if that's his name. Decent header. I like the build up, but I felt a little bit too passive from the defensive view of the Spanish team, right? Dani Olmo, I think is one of his best games so far on this World Cup. Rodri, flawless in the middle. Not much to also say. I think the Belgian goalie had an unfortunate turn of events, like Courtois ended up leaving injured. I wouldn't be surprised because Belgium were holding on to the lead, especially towards the last minutes, which is what I want to talk about. It wouldn't be shocking to have seen this game go to extra time. I still think Spain would have edged it. I didn't see too much quality coming out of the bench of Belgium, but Spain did bring up and shake things up with Ferran Torres and Nico Williams. And I wanted to finish up with Michael Merino, De La Fuente's secret weapon right now. Two back-to-back games with the last-minute dagger. Another great box crashing move. And Spain, I think, deserved to get through. Whether it's at last minute, the last 5 minutes, and the first minute, it doesn't matter. You win you win games by scoring goals, and they did it again. Nothing has changed. Control. Like that's how I see the Spanish team. At no point did they lose control of the game. If they're caught off guard, it's likely because of an individual mistake. Otherwise, in terms of setup, there's always enough man marking every position on the field. And then moving forward, I think Belgium struggled, especially they were doing the man-to-man defense. As soon as Spanish players started chasing the space in between the spaces in between the lines, particularly between the flanks in the middle or between defensive line, midfield line. The man-to-man press then lost composure, and then I think you could tell, especially in that goal, the first goal, that was a good example. The Belgium defenders or the players themselves weren't sure who they were going to pick up and mark. So that's my opinion. We'll talk about the semis once I finish the upcoming semi between Spain and France when I cover the rest of the games. Um, What an interesting game. Um, I saw a lot of online rhetorics around Norway being the superior team. I I wouldn't say they were superior. What I will say though is England, or should I say Tommy Tuchel, play with fire in this game. That's how I would describe it. Um, First half, um, England had control in the sense that more ball possession, um, one big chance versus zero big chances created by Norway. Um, Shots were divided, but like not necessarily a lot of threatening occasions in the final third. Kane was non-existent, and Nani Madueke. I don't know how he made it this far in his career, playing at the top level and playing for World Cups. I'm still confused. There must be something happening in practice sessions that we're not aware of. Because he was just simply like non-existent. Even when England tried to do the switch off the play, forget the one and twos or the quick combination between players, just switching play from left to right, middle to right. Madueke couldn't even control a ball. Um, so when I say England had control, is they had more ball possession, but clearly incapable of breaking down the Norwegian defense. Like that midfield, the player profiles in that midfield of Bellingham, Rice, and Anderson, they can't in compact small spaces. Those players are not capable of moving the ball around and getting it out of where they're being pressured into areas where there's more space. They just don't have that profile, um, and it was pretty apparent, right? So with Gordon and Madueke playing down the wings, I would have thought that, oh, they're just going to exploit the flanks more often. But that wasn't really the case until the very, very end of the first half. So to wrap up the first half, interesting goal by Schlerdrup. A big fan of him, like being a Benfica player. He's Benfica's best winger. I'm not sure if that was a goal, a shot, or a cross. I'm inclined to say it was a cross, but either way, goal and got Norway ahead. Um, I wasn't because England hadn't created clear cut chance in the first half. I wasn't necessarily shocked or surprised. We've seen teams have the ball but not create much out of it, and I think that's what was happening to England. And Norway was capable of exploiting that in that counterattack. Um, the um, the goal was not surprising, but like at the same time, we hadn't seen Norway create much offense. Odegaard um, does not provide that risky pass, the ability to get into the final third and make things happen. It's just a player incapable of doing it or scared of doing it. Just way too many games where we consistently see that he's not that. And then the other two, Berg and Berge, they're not that profile either, right? So like while they provide solidity at the back, defending going forward, the team is heavily reliant on the counterattacks and speeds. Sorloth, I'm not too sure what the game plan was. Schlerdrup, I understand. But that explains pretty much the first half. And I want to finish the first half analysis by stating that once England finally made use of what that team is built around of, which is ability to recover the ball fast and play it down the wings, um, that's how the first goal came about. And that's how the team was formed. So I was expecting more of that throughout the first half, but it was sufficient to get that goal. So great combination down the left with Gordon. He made enough space to make the cross. And then Bellingham with what clearly is his best skill, which is crashing the box. Great first touch, great second touch to get away from the defender, and a great finish. I'm not a big fan of Jude Bellingham. I've talked about England's inability to create chances or progress the ball down the middle. He's not that kind of guy. Defensively, he doesn't provide a lot of cover. Um, but at times in games of chaos, when there's chaos, and there's uncertainty, and there's more space, he does have the right attributes. And I think that's what Tommy Tuchel, when he built this team, I think that's what he's looking for. Kane and Bellingham, can you get the ball to them but the ball doesn't have to necessarily go through them, right? It just needs to get to them. And that's how the first goal came about when they tie up the game just before halftime. So I started the analysis by saying it was an interesting game in the sense that Tuchel played with fire. Like I said, the team has been it's around pace and power with creating the chances down the wings. It was not happening at all in the first half. So when um, the second half came about, um, it clearly like Tuchel was not happy about it. Like we'll talk about his press conference reaction. But when I look at the list of events here, um, at halftime, um, uh, he made changes, right? So he took out Rice for Eze. We had heard rumors and stories, I think reports that Rice had a stomach bug or something. It wasn't his best game, but I didn't see it from an injury or minute management perspective. I saw it most of a tactical change just because the profile was different. Eberechi Eze plays more like a number 10, a more creative player, comfortable with the ball in tight spaces. And then Nani Madueke, who was absolutely a non-entity in the first half, replaced by Saka, who provides you more um, uh, intelligence around ball possession, right, and ball control. Changing tactics, you throw in a number 10, a more creative player. I think Jude then fell into the double pivot with Anderson, which was not great. Um, and then Madueke with less speed, recovered by Saka for more control. So I thought, okay, because of the change in the profile of players that came in, I thought England was going to now continue with ball possession, but either play down the middle or focus on more patient buildup, that you don't rely on overlaps or long passes from Anderson, for example, down the wings. It wasn't that. It was completely the opposite. Like England just sat back and let Norway take control of the game. Um, the uh, the goal that was canceled at the 57th minute, I know it's the World Cup, but we've seen those kind of plays in the box, players pushing other players in the Premier League. We've seen Haaland do that many times, never gets called. In the World Cup, it gets called. He pushed, but they push all the time. When I saw the replay multiple times, it felt as if the Norwegian player made use of the push to then fall. I thought it was very soft. Um, and I'm not saying just based on this game, I've been seeing over the last year, 2 years, where players in the box are just wrestling each other. I thought it was a fair play. Like I thought just he was just too weak for Holland, and the goal should have stood. The refs thought otherwise. Okay, but like it's just inconsistent. I haven't seen too many of these plays in the World Cup to claim if it's been consistent in the World Cup itself. But when I compare with other games that we've seen in the last year, 12, 14, 16 months, very questionable. So unfortunate for Norway. Um, the game was out of control. Norway creating far more chances, looking far more dangerous. They scared off England with that game goal. So at that point, I think Tuchel realized he made a huge mistake with whatever he had planned. Because again, I don't understand how the play style matched what we were seeing based on the players that have been put on the fields. So the changes he made, get Anthony Gordon out and put Reece James in, was to change things up in the midfield. Wasn't working at all. I think when England got control of the game was when Jet Spence came in for O'Reilly down the wing. He was excellent, his fullback position. And then Morgan Rogers coming in from Konza. That's what allowed Reece James to go back in the right fullback position, right? Um, Not much to say beyond that. I think that's what like Tommy Tooks realized, that I need more control of the midfield, but I can't just sit back. And then, believe it or not, I think it was I wouldn't say luck, but again, Jude came very clutch with that second goal, right place at the right time with the rebound, box crashing ability again. He's rising to the occasion. So whether we like it or not, whether we think he's the kind of player that we like, aesthetics, it doesn't matter. Um, Tuchel clearly understands what he's helpful in this team, how he can contribute. And he did it again, like two games back to back, important games for England. Um, England had to get through over the line, like to show that even as soon as you start playing better oppositions, you can still win you games. This was just another example. Confused about. I've given him a lot of praise to. I think it's Solbakken. I think that's how you pronounce the Norwegian coach's name. I give him a lot of praise. He reads the games very well. He read the game very well against Brazil. Taking off Holland in the last in the last 5-10 minutes of the game, if it's just switching a player like Larson for Holland, identical swap in terms of player profile, not the same kind of player, but player profile is very similar. Okay, but then the problem was that in order for Norway to create chances, they were just whipping balls to the box. Haaland can do that just as good as Larson. So it didn't change the approach. Like, so if they were looking for other ways of building, creating chances, I would have understood that substitution. But one of the best strikers out there, you get him out, just throw balls in the box. I don't. I thought it was poor. I think Tuchel played with fire. He was very upset, or he was not content at the end when he did the post-match press flash interview. And I agree with him. England won that game based on mentality, but not necessarily tactics. But I'm afraid if the tactics aren't working out, that's on you, coach. That's not on the players. So England, I think, contrary to popular belief, I don't think they were inferior to Norway. It's just that they were capable of riding the waves. And other than that lucky moment, I think that goal that was disallowed, um, I think at the end of the day, the players' quality, again, individual quality, in this case, Bellingham, got them over the finish line. So, and that's what you need. So, last but not least, for the quarterfinal games, we're already 20 minutes in. Um, Argentina beats Switzerland in extra time. Argentina make, just like England, they make it hard on themselves. Switzerland, though, credits where it's due. Murat Yakin has been like coaching this team for a while now, since 2021. He's got a good record. He's getting these teams from the group stages into the knockout rounds, not necessarily with the best results or scores, but this team is difficult to beat. And in this game, Argentina struggled throughout. Up until the red cards, this game was definitely like it could have gone either way. I think once because Argentina just dicks around too much, and then Switzerland still had enough, I would say, quality as a team to create chances. Like the team attacks very well. Like I think the biggest progress that Murat Yakin has done with Switzerland is even by rotating the squad throughout the tournaments. Ndoye, so they lost like one of their best players, Manzambi, to injury in the last two games. The team still ticks, and that's good tactics. That's good coaching, right? The team is unpredictable. They either play down the wings, they play through the middle. They can play good in the counter. Credit where it's due. Embolo just reduced their chances of getting anything out of this game. I'm not going to talk too much about the card because that's been covered by a lot of people out there. I don't think it's Embolo's fault. I think he just made it hard. Oh, sorry, it was his fault for getting the second yellow. But I think Argentina would have still won this game. There's just way too much quality on Argentina's side to make it happen, right? Uh, but the other thing I wanted to cover is there's been a lot of criticisms with Scaloni and the Argentina team, and rightfully so. I think um, playing against Cabo Verde and then getting the goals like late in the game, right? Especially with the likes of Lisandro, Romero, getting you over the line. Um, uh, Sorry, not Romero. It was an own goal actually, but the point is, uh, it didn't look pretty, and they had to go to extra time to beat Cabo Verde, right? Against Egypt, the last 15 minutes, you have to bang 3 goals. Um, Whether we think Argentina is getting help from the refs, this team is capable of winning games, right? And they've scored 3 in 3 games in the knockout stage, all with 3 goals, whether extra time or not, it doesn't matter. This team can score, right? There's been criticism about the players he puts in, the formation. I don't think that's the point. The team is slightly different. In the past, they used to have wingers like Di Maria, played down, had a lot of width. Messi was far more present in the build-up and like slightly different now. So The team is built around what I'm calling it like a diamond in midfield. So players like, if I look at the formation yesterday, Paredes, McAllister, Fernandez, Rodrigo de Paul, none of these guys are wingers. None of these guys are one-to-one dribblers. But that's not the point. In a diamond, it's the fullbacks that give you the width, right? And both Tagliafico and Molina provide that width. Whether it's sufficient quality in the final third, not necessarily, but like Tagliafico against Egypt was effective. And in this game, not so much, but I think it was because the Swiss team was more organized. Um, Good header by McAllister for the first goal, and fantastic shot by Julian Alvarez. Again, individual quality won them the game towards the end. Um, Messi, not his best game by far. Actually, not even close. I think he had a very poor game. But the team is built around the physicality and the legs of the midfield, and they're all the supporting cast to allow Messi to do whatever he needs at any point in time. So credit where it's due. Scaloni has won two Copa Americas back to back, a World Cup along the way. He's in another semi. And if they win this World Cup, that will be four international tournaments in a row. You're looking at, I'm going to go ahead and say, the best international run by a coach in recent memory. Like it's just impossible. Like this is just absolute dominance. Um, uh, the run has been relatively easy compared to other teams, but against Switzerland, a very well drilled team, still got over the finish line. So the last point I wanted to bring up was there's a lot of focus on that red card, the second yellow by to Embolo. I think the biggest issue for me was the first yellow. The like the referee, who's very well known in Portugal for making inconsistent calls during games, he called a foul. They waited a minute or so for the players to separate themselves. There's a lot of kerfuffle there. And then once he approached the Argentinian player, patted him on the back, then he showed the yellow to Embolo. So I'm not too sure if he just took a while or if it was something Embolo was saying. I just found it very strange for that. If it was because of the foul, that yellow came in very late. So I'm just confused. I don't know what happened there. So let's wrap it up with my predictions or my thoughts for the semis. The best four teams got through. The best four teams in the entire tournament. Best four teams because they won the games and they've shown, based on their formation, their players, and their performance in games, they deserve to go through all of those games. Whether people think it's fair or not, that's a different discussion. But these are the best four teams with arguably the best four squads. And the great thing is to see elite players make it this far. So Mbappe, Olise, Dembele for France, Yamal, Rodri for Spain, Messi, of course, for Argentina, and then Kane for England. Like you want to see the best players in their respective positions, like go as far as possible, because we want to see them, right? So very exciting. This was very close to what I had to double check. Very close to what Syed and I had predicted about a month ago. We had France, Spain on the left side bracket, which is what we have here, and we had Brazil, Argentina, because we thought Carlo was going to do something. He clearly did not. But Brazil had beaten England in the quarterfinals. That was our prediction. So swapped Brazil for England here. My predictions still stand. I think the France-Spain game is going to be a very close one. I see France sitting back and playing, beating Spain in the counter. I don't see Spain benefiting from sitting back. Um, Defensively, I think France has more players that can contribute to whether it's a low block or a physical game than Spain can. But Spain is well drilled. Every player knows their role. So a lot of firepower from France. I think the system in Spain will prevail. This might go to penalties. If it goes to penalties, it's really a toss-up. I still have Spain edging them just because I haven't seen Spain lose control of a game. And if France is playing counter, if you have the ball, you have control. Like you can have control over your destiny. So Spain to go through, very tight. It might be on penalties, but I still have Spain. On the other side, England against Argentina. Tommy Tuchel cannot play with fire again. Scaloni rarely gets things wrong, and during the game, both of these coaches can make changes based on what they see to improve and correct mistakes. Argentina has been playing a lot of minutes. People may think it's not a difference, but at the high level, these minutes do add up. It's two games already in the last week and a half where they've played um, extra time. Is some of them in difficult conditions, whether it's in Florida or other parts of the U.S. I think stamina may be a factor. Um, I think it's going to come down to that. I don't think it's going to and individual brilliance. If England, I just described what happened with the England Norway game. I'm unsure how it's going to turn out, whether the player profile matches what we observe on the field, or if England does set up to play the way they were supposed to play, which is counterattack and pace and power or ball possession. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Argentina does look vulnerable when defending. They leave a lot of space in between the lines. So if England wants to get at it that way, I need to see Eberichieze, I need to see Saka, I need to see Morgan Rogers on the field. If they're going to play counter, then I think what they've been going with Jude and Anderson, definitely Anderson, and likely Rice in the midfield might make sense. It's just down the wings whether they keep Saka instead of Madueke, who has been non-existent, and they keep pursuing with Gordon. So um, difficult to predict. England has been doing far better than I anticipated, but I still gonna pick Argentina on this one. I think with some of these players likely playing their last World Cup together, so like the like of Rodrigo de Paul, Paredes in the midfield, especially. Um, I think this now or never, because once you're in the final, it's a 50-50 really. But like, if they really want to, like, they didn't make it this far to then miss out on the final. It sounds like a little bit nostalgic, but I think with Scaloni reading the game, I think like I just give them the edge. What Julian Alvarez did, that last minute shot, and that game just shows that if you give them enough space, if they really want to win games, they will. They came from behind, 2 goals against Egypt. And scored 3 goals, sorry, 2 goals deficit to win you with 3 goals. This team, I think they match the level that they're seeing. So, and they always supersede the level of the opposition. So, again, based on what I've seen in the tournament and the playing styles, I still give them the edge. I don't know if this game is going to go into extra time. It's only if Argentina shoot themselves in the foot. So um, the well, yeah, that wraps things up for today. So I do see one person already tuned in, so I appreciate it. On your way out, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. I didn't forget the saying this time around. And yeah, looking forward to the semifinals. We will most likely have a review of the semifinals or a preview of the final later this week. So stay tuned for that. And until then, enjoy the rest of the World Cup.